Welcome, everyone. Just a reminder to our council members and those joining us today for the first time who weren't able to make the hearings yesterday. We do have all of the budget information located on your tablets. Each day will be customized for the format and chronological order of the departments that we'll be presenting. The first item every day will be the entire budget document. It's a 750-page document. That will be your first item for those of you who'd like to look at the full budget document at any time. If you could simply click on that and just be patient. It takes about 30 seconds to load that document, but once it's loaded, you'll be able to peruse it at your leisure. Right beyond that, in chronological order, will be the time and the department presenting, along with the customized excerpts of that department's budget that is included as part of that 750-page budget book. So you have two ways to access the information, either through the full budget book or the customized excerpts that we put for each of the department items. And if you have any questions or need help, feel free to grab myself or Rosie. Thanks.
Thank you very much. I just want to run through briefly the reminders for each of our presentations. Members of Budget and Finance Committee will be recognized first. And since each department is scheduled for a limited amount of time, please be respectful of others and of the time constraints during the hearing so that everyone has the opportunity to ask their questions. Questions should be limited to the budget, not operations. Please do not take time in the hearings for personal comments and/or congratulations to the departments. And also, please remind council members they may speak with department heads in the coming days to continue their discussion and to seek follow-up instruction. The Finance Department Help Desk will be in Committee Room 1 if you have questions or need detailed information. Now, I would like to get started with the Mayor's office, and so, Mr. Riebling, if you guys want to come on up. Hang on a minute, Rich. I got to find the button. Oh, if it were a snake, it would have bitten me, sorry. So I don't think I need to necessarily read these questions to you, do I?
We could live with the budget that's been presented by the mayor.
Thank you very much. Would you like to go into your presentation, please?
I'll be very brief and allow any questions that you may have, but we do appreciate your attention here today. We have a number of key staff people with the mayor's office in the back of the room, and they could all just stand up rather than me introducing them all. But as you know, many of these, hopefully, if you haven't got the chance to know, all of them you will get to. We have, including a couple former colleagues of this body, Mr. Cole and Mr. Matthews. Clearly, this administration is focusing on a number of important avenues for the city, and the staff reflects that, from affordable housing initiatives to transit initiatives and the like. And with that, we believe that the request in the budget for funding will allow the mayor's office to carry the city forward, allow us to make improvements in these critical areas for the city, and allow us to not only do that, but also provide, I think, important community outreach and engagement with the voters of Nashville, the citizens of Nashville, which we think will be critical going forward on all these issues. And with that, I really would just open up for questions, and thank you for being here and knowing the work that we do.
Thank you very much. I will call on Mr. Mendez first.
Thanks. I think this is a new guy question. In the office at a glance page, there's the line item for administrative operations, the $198,000. I'm assuming that includes, is what's included in the 198 in the back of the book in section J where it lists out administrative? I guess put another way is, what is the 198?
Which is primarily personnel to fill the various offices and the functions of the government. So this is, if I'm right, Don, I think I am, this is essentially an increase in the mayor's office budget from the prior year.
Okay. Thanks. And I guess I don't know if you're the right person for this question or not, but you probably know the answer. So in the back, in section J, there's the administrative at a
Okay.
glance.
Yes, okay.
And obviously that includes a bunch of things. Particularly, I'm looking at pages J01, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm trying to figure out where these various things are in the budget. And what I think I figured out yesterday is they're tucked into different departments depending on what the item is.
A lot of these are are specific line items in the budget. If you look at the budget ordinance themselves, there's a budget allocation for each of these items.
Okay.
And it's just handled as an administrative account rather than broken down in each of the individual departments.
Is there an easy way for us for those for these administrative items that, like you said, they're items on the line items on the budget ordinance, but is there an easy way for us to connect that with what department we should be asking about it? Like yesterday on J01-5, that page, two of the items that are on that page came up with, they were the PIPs from ITS. In the second column, the NECAT one and the Community Foundation Middle Tennessee for digital inclusion. And I guess I'm asking somebody if there's a way we can be able to connect the administrative items on the budget ordinance with what department we might ask about it.
I think it's case by case different. A lot of them cross department lines and they're sort of government wide. And then some of them I'd have to go look at page by page would be relate back to a specific department. But a lot of these are also contributions to tax-exempt organizations, like the Community Enhancement Fund which again goes to nonprofits is in there as an administrative account. And some of the economic development tools for like the Dell incentive or the, which one is UBS trigger this year, Matt? Yeah, so it's like UBS and the economic development initiatives. But we could go back through each of these and see if any of them are assigned to a department. We can easily do that.
All right, that would be great. I guess I did gather that some of them, there's not necessarily a hearing associated with them.
That's correct, yes,
All
sir.
right. Thanks, that's all I have.
Seeing no one else in the, excuse me. Councilmember Gilmore.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. I had just, I guess, maybe 2 questions, and maybe it was answered, but I was down there trying to meet the school board candidate at the same time trying to be here. So my question was actually, and it might have been answered, to see how long the financial empowerment grant is and the JAG grant, where we are with those grants, because I know that they were federal, and just to see where we are with
I'm going to ask Eric Cole to talk about the financial empowerment program. He's the director of that. Eric, do you mind stepping?
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. Council Lady, thanks for asking. The Financial Empowerment Center 3-year grant ended at December 31st of 2015. You all budgeted dollars for the continuation of that program last budget. And so the program continues as a public-private partnership between the city and United Way going into this next budget as well.
And the JAG grant expires June 30th of this year. So it's done.
Any other questions, council member? Thank you. Councilmember Pulley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just have a quick question relating to the administrative operations line item here. It's my understanding that even though we have a lot of what seem to be new positions in the mayor's office, you're really operating with the same number of personnel, so you're not really adding any new positions. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
And this line item represents salary adjustments, maybe to considering the competitive job market we're in and the mayor's desire to have the most qualified people in those positions. This represents the adjustments you need to make to those salaries to get the right people there. Is that
I
right?
think that's well said. As you know, some of the initiatives are not uncomplicated initiatives that we're working on together with the council, be it affordable housing, be it transit issues. And I think we felt, the mayor felt, that we wanted to get the best people in the office to help give us the information on that. I think we've assembled a very good team. I'm very impressed with them, and I think they're doing great work, and we'll continue to work with the council on these very important initiatives. But thank you. You're right, Council.
Thank you very much. I have anything else.
Councilmember Cooper.
I thought I was not. I thought I was so close to a clean getaway, Councilman.
No, don't worry. You're in good shape. One of the really great things I think the mayor's office done in the last months is the Office of Infrastructure. And in terms of funding that effort appropriately and making it a success, I think the council's also faced with a proposal to increase fees at the planning department. Should that position and perhaps an expanded view of that position also be included in planning fees, just in a way of financing what is a sort of a planning and infrastructure job, so that it's net paid for by the development activities going forward in Nashville?
As I recall, Councilman, off the top of my head, I don't have the Planning Commission budget directly in front of me, but I believe one of the areas that we did recommend funding that would come out of some of the new revenues that would be associated with council approval of the fee structure is to have personnel in the planning department specifically focused on transit issues. And so obviously they would work very closely with the mayor's office and with the other agencies, Public Works, MTA and others, in order to carry out the plans as we sort of keep moving forward on the next, especially on the transit side, on the Nashville next steps.
Okay, so the transit that's you will think that's in the planning budget, to having a transit specialist, but at planning.
Yes, sir, I plan.
Okay,
yes.
because I was actually thinking that the infrastructure office and the mayor's office could be financed by planning, so to speak, than rather out of the mayor's budget.
Well, I mean, we have, as you probably know, we have 3 staff members, I believe it's 3, who are working exclusively on transit and sustainability issues. I mean, we think that's sufficient for now, but as times change, we may have to have more. But I think for the next fiscal year, we're comfortable that we have the right number. And as plans progress on this issue in this community and this council, if there's a need for more, we will ask such from the council.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Gilmore.
Thank you. I wanted to know, what are the agencies that are listed under revenue? And that's just page DO4. It says some revenues, and I guess the departments, or it says revenues there listed. And I just wanted to know what those departments were. Were they grants? What were those?
I'm sorry, Council Lee, where are you again?
DO4, and then it says
DO4.
other program revenue.
Oh.
I wasn't clear if it was grants or new departments, or
But
right under revenues and transfers, it says other government agencies and program revenue.
grants
Okay, and do you know what grants those are?
for Donna or Stan? Financial Empowerment Center.
Okay, it is the Financial Empowerment Center. Okay, and then also I wanted to know what grants did we receive for this year coming up for the mayor's office department to complement some of the different departments that she has started. So for instance, I know that we had done the innovation at one time. We've disbanded that. Are there any other grants out there now that you guys have applied for that deal with the different goals, whether it's transportation, affordable housing, that type of
I
thing?
think anything that we've applied for obviously has come through the council for approval. I don't have a list in front of me. We can supply you with that.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Rosenberg.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Riebling. With regard to the allocation for the Chamber of Commerce, they operate a political action committee that they use to support and oppose candidates who will then in turn control 40% of the budget. What mechanism is in place to guarantee that none of the tax dollars end up getting shifted into that area to support policies that many people disagree with?
Historically, all of the funding that's been approved by the council in the past for the chamber, all is designed for their economic development initiatives. The money all goes to the chamber's economic initiative partnership 2020. And so all of the city funds go to that initiative. None of them are used for any other purposes. Obviously, anyone who receives city funds has to submit is subject to a review of those expenditures to make sure they're done properly. And it's my understanding, my belief, at least I've not been aware of any information that's come to the city finance department as they review the expenditure of those funds that would indicate that it was spent for anything other than economic development initiatives.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Gilmore.
Thank you. It's all broken up. I don't know if this is a mayor's office question or a finance question.
I can do both.
Okay.
Maybe, or neither.
I think you can do all of it. You
or
have the
neither,
expertise.
whichever the case may be.
You have the expertise. So there were two questions. One was the subsidy for Bridgestone Arena, which is in the back. It's at a glance. Now the Predators are doing really well right now, so this is probably not a good question. But I just wanted to see how long, it says that it remains flat, the subsidy for $5 million, almost $6 million. How long is that for?
That's an agreement that we have with the Predators that deals with the management of the building. It includes an incentive fee for good performance for managing the building. And Bob Lackey, what am I forgetting? That's essentially the components of that. That is structured to stay in place for the length of the agreement with the Predators, which is through 2027.
Okay, thank you. And now I have a second question. I was looking at the property tax increment refund and tax increment payment with MDHA, and the increase was recommended. It went up for the GSD, is it? And then it went down for the USD. And I was just wondering, why did it go down for the USD and it went up for the GSD? So it was like an increase of $1 million for the GSD and a reduction of $509,000 for the USD.
Yeah, I mean, annually we receive from MDHA a listing of those properties that in which receive some tax increment financing. And so essentially what happens on those is the money gets, I hate to use the word diverted because it sounds like a bad word, but basically moved from the city operating budget to MDHA to pay for those tax increment finance loans. And so I don't know specifically why the USD number went down. I mean, the GSD number would have gone up just because additional projects received some tax increment financing over the course of the past year. But I'm not sure. The only reason why the USD would go down is if some loans had been paid off and there was no longer an outstanding loan, so therefore they didn't have to. The money did not have to be transferred to the MDHA tax increment program. I'll find out more detail for you from that, which we can do, but that would be my off-the-cuff sort of answer.
I just have one more question.
Okay,
And
go ahead.
this is a real easy one. There's a group, they're listed as recreation, cultural, community, and support. And I think I know what they are, but I just want to make sure. All of these are ones that the nonprofits have to apply for? Is this what this is for Thistle Farm? So in other words, it goes through a committee? It says Thistle Farms, Plant a Seed, Summer Youth Employment Program.
Those are not specific. Those do not go through the Community Enhancement Fund. The Community Enhancement Fund is set up a little later on page J15.
Okay.
You'll see the literacy programs, miscellaneous community agencies, educational after-school programs, and domestic violence programs. Those four, which are on page J015, are the community enhancement funds. The others are direct appropriations recommended by the mayor in the budget.
Okay, so for people that are interested, just because I think all these organizations are wonderful, would they need to just submit a letter and it's at the mayor's discretion? Because
Well,
Thistle Farms
the recommendation is, yes, it's the mayor's recommendation. Obviously, ultimately, council approval, and it's based on different criteria, but a lot of these relate back to some of the nonprofits that might have a one-time need for some dollars to help fund a capital program they're doing, or things of that nature, and they're reviewed by the mayor's office and the mayor, and then some are recommended, and obviously some are not.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no one else in the queue, Mr. Riebling? Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.